Okay. Welcome to the October 9th meeting of the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. My name is Rick Hartwig. I am vice chair, sitting in for our chair, Keith Norris, who is flying somewhere over the United States and unable to be here. We will start today with the roll call. Okay, Keith Norris is not here. Alan Alexander?
Here.
Mauricio Flores? Not here. Zachary Hamberly? Not here. Alan Holland? Here. Debbie Miller?
Here.
Sigrid Olsen?
Here.
Okay, and Keith Norris is absent. All right, we have to approve our minutes. I'm sure all of you have looked at them very carefully. And are there any changes, amendments, deletions, additions? Okay, hearing none, is I need a motion to approve.
Move to approve, minute says printed.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Public comment. The people that signed up, I believe, are going to be addressing issues that we will be in our agenda. Is there anybody that needs to have public comment on something that's not on the agenda? Okay, moving right along. Our board items, first of one is renovations at Marion Square Park, and we have Gretchen Bennett, who will be presenting.
Thank you so much. I'm wondering, to make sure Alan can see too, would coming up here make sense, or?
If you stand at the podium, we'll get you.
Perfect. Okay, very good. Thank you so much. Hi, Alan. Hi, everybody. And it's good to see you all, and I'm glad to be here. My name is Gretchen, and I'm on the staff team here at the City of Salem. And I've had the opportunity to work in these past few months with parks and with recreation as part of a role I'm in, an acting in capacity role with community services. And so I'm really glad to be here and appreciate everyone's work in helping lift up and guide parks and recreation services. So thank you for having me today. I'm here to talk about renovations or deferred maintenance possibilities at Marion Square Park. We became aware of a potential private anonymous donation. And so we wanted to come and check in with you about the possibility of putting the donation to work on some of our deferred maintenance needs at Marion Square. I think our systems plan back when it was published recognized the need for some minor maintenance there. But I think, in my view, that the conditions have continued to deteriorate at Marion Square Park. It's a heavily used area and has had a lot of challenges. In my role, I became the city's liaison on homelessness topics in 2020 and have heard a lot of feedback from community members, from people attempting to be a park patron to the area, to downtown residents and business owners. A lot of people giving a lot of input around Marion Square Park. And so I can see that I think that need for maintenance has continued to increase as we see some of the issues and needs at the park. So it was interesting. It caught our eye when this donor said, hey, can I help there? It's like, we should listen to that. So, but we have to think about it in light of what is our community's objectives for the park and what are the needs. What I came to learn is that they're open to contributing in line with what the team took some initial look at what are some maintenance issues at the park that we're aware of as a staff team. And then they have some interest in contributing to some of those needs. So this is kind of a Venn diagram of what we were seeing at the staff level and what they were seeing as being interested in contributing to. We want to bring that to you to hear what your thoughts are, what your potential direction or caveats might be around that Venn diagram of an idea. One thing would be to add landscaping in 100-foot zone adjacent to the commercial street side, the east side of the park. Another idea would be to scoot the seating so that it's not as adjacent to right along where you have the traffic congestion. You've got people trying to sit and recreate and just be fairly close to Commercial Street. And you know, you might remember the fatality in the traffic in the landscape median a while back nearby. I'm always nervous about cars getting distracted driving and pulling right off. So that was interesting to me to see the seating scoot back a bit. Plus also then just not trying to, if you're picnicking or something, trying to deal with that along with all the fumes from the cars. So scooting the seating more into the center of the park and not as adjacent to Commercial Street side. Removing the existing restroom facility. You've probably seen it lately. It's been consistently a target of maintenance and graffiti. And we can't keep up with keeping that paint. We paint off and then I think it's like a open canvas and then it gets repainted again. And so actually being able to maybe remove that restroom, but keeping underlying structural supports, should we find funding to be able to replace a restroom, but at least getting rid of that old restroom there. And then rehabilitating the sprinkler system to try to help with the landscaping at the park. They would like to proceed as soon as the city can welcome the project. We do understand archaeological clearance would be an important part of the work as we would move forward. We'd also really want to oversee the selection of any material, like as we rehabilitate the sprinkler system, for example, we'd oversee what that is because I want to make sure Jen's comfortable with what we can maintain into the future. So anything that any kind of product we'd need to oversee and support. And it could be necessary, it would be necessary, forgive me, to close either the entire park or portions of the park, depending on what's ultimately approved. So wanted to make sure to make mention of that as well. With that, I wanted to see how this fits with overall alignment with objectives in the park for you, and if there's any specifications or things that you would want to guide us around thinking about as we consider these ideas.
It looks so serious.
So with that, I'll see. Yes, turn it over to you, Vice Chair.
Thank you, and it's wonderful to get an anonymous donation because we don't have a lot of money. Yeah. You gave us a whole bunch of options and have no idea how much money and how far it goes. Personally, I think it's important to have a restroom there.
Yeah.
And so that would be my recommendation. And I'm opening it up to other members of the board. What they would recommend. Debbie?
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Well, that is our oldest park, right, in Salem. Marion Square is our oldest park.
That's what I understand.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really special.
I agree. I heard you taking the restroom out. Well, I really can understand why you'd want to. But at the same time, where is the nearest bathroom there? I mean, would you substitute that with a porta potty? What would we do for our homeless population?
Secret, thanks for asking. Currently, that bathroom is shuttered.
Oh, it is?
It's locked. And so we currently have the porta potty there.
Oh, we do?
Yeah,
Okay.
also Union Gospel Mission will allow people to come in. And then if you've checked in at Arches, you can also use the restroom at Arches.
Okay, well
But
then,
it would basically retain the chemical toilet.
Right.
I was hoping they'd buy us a new bathroom too, but it sounds like they would take out the old one, which is a step towards being able to acquire a new one.
so then you would be actually just removing an eyesore to.
That's how.
Then in that case, if it's not a working bathroom, I didn't know that information.
Yeah.
It's always been a problematic park. even I was born and raised in Salem.
Yeah,
But it is really one of the most beautiful parks. It's got those old growth trees in there. So, I love this idea of what you're doing.
born and raised here too, and I agree. Those trees are just sacred, you know?
Yeah, they're really beautiful.
Yeah.
Debbie?
Yeah, I also agree that there needs to be a bathroom there. I know I've heard about some of the restrooms that you talked about that are the ones that can be washed easily and they're more, not as easy to hide inside or to destroy. I mean, I know we don't have money for that, but that's just a thought of a way to place the porta potty.
Right.
And then I like the idea of the landscaping and moving things away from the road for all the reasons you discussed.
Great. Debbie, thank you.
I'm gonna call on Alan because his hand has been raised for a while. Go ahead, Alan.
Thank you. And Gretchen, it's nice to see you again. You always bring a little sunshine wherever you are.
Oh, thank you.
What's the budget for this and how much would be the donation be, or is that determined yet?
The dollar amount has not been echoed, but the donor had said these were the things that they would pay for.
All or some?
Oh.
Well, go for it.
That's easy.
The obvious, and like everyone else has been around Salem for a while, even though I've only been here 20 years, but, it's an ideal location for a park. Unfortunately, it wasn't being used as a park. In fact, I believe the city had to finally remove the playground equipment because it was destroyed and it was becoming more of a hazard than anything else. And it wasn't safe enough to let kids go play there. So, we need to keep in mind, if we want to make it a park, we've got to figure out how to make it a real park. It's available to our residents and kids in the area and that kind of stuff. And at the last check, it's not. But I like the idea about the natural barrier, even though it was going to look like we're trying to hide the park, and maybe we are.
I'm thinking a prettier landscaping just might be more pleasant and then making the seating scoot in, I don't know.
But, I honestly, I don't get out much anymore. And when I do, it's been a long time since I don't have any current information, but it was, the park was, to call it a park was a misnomer. It was a meeting area.
Right.
And with a variety of activities, none of which would conform to city laws, or many of them wouldn't. And so we just got to recognize what it is and what we can make of it. But removing the restroom, I think, is important in the sense of if it's not functional, why keep an old decrepit piece there? And maybe someday in the future, when things are brighter, a better restroom could be back. And someone was right. There are restrooms that are much more durable, I guess, both to maintain and preserve. So I'm sure we'll be headed in that direction.
Very good. Thank you.
Okay, Al?
I only would like to know for sure that in the removal of this facility, will plumbing infrastructure be retained so that in the future, if it comes to fruition, can be restored more economically than from scratch?
That would be my expectation, Jen, Rob. Yep, exactly. Absolutely. Because we want to preserve anything that could still function to help us put a proper restroom in,
Right.
functional restroom.
I think that's my only concern or question about it. Sounds like everything else is good.
Right.
I would wonder if the existing sidewalk paralleling Commercial Street in the park will be retained if that 100-foot space is created.
I think so. You guys agree? Yeah, I think we would retain the sidewalk. Yeah.
Okay. I have no problems.
I'm just gonna add one more comment. That park has always been a challenge.
Mhm.
It was a difficult park even as a child, but many times I've driven by it and I thought, I think I recognize some former students in there.
Oh.
But I will tell you, I've often had a little bit of comfort saying they're in one of the most beautiful parks in Salem. And it is the homeless person's park in many ways. We have to accept that. And it is just as deserving. I mean, I'm astounded by this donor's heart because he knows that's a complicated spot. If we can make that nicer for them, that's a wonderful thing. We have to kind of embrace that park will not change. But there are people there who are in literally a cathedral of old growth trees. And that is a lovely thing for them to be around. You know, that's what advantage we have in, you know, Salem, that even we can help support our homeless community that will be there 50 years from now, I'm afraid.
I had to write down some of those words, astounded by the donor's heart, a cathedral. I'm just like, oh, those are beautiful words. I wanted to catch that.
Any other comments? There are the playground equipment is right next door at Riverfront Park. So I don't think there's really a need for the playground equipment there. It's basically used besides the homeless as a skate park. So, you know, to me, the restroom is the most vital portion of that. Because if it's not there, what are the homeless gonna do? And it's probably not something we want them to do. Yeah, okay,
Well, my next stop then would be city council on October 27th, since they wanted to move on the quick end. So I thought that's what I would do next. Rob,
Quick point,
Please.
would you like a motion from staff to directly focus that city council?
if you're up for it, yes, please.
Okay.
Yeah, to.
all right. The vice chair will entertain a motion to have the restroom be the primary donation.
Is that what we're looking for?
More to endorse the.
The
Gratefully
the
accepted.
overall investment,
overall.
yeah, the
Oh,
overall
overall,
investment,
okay.
yeah.
All right, somebody needs to make the motion. Okay,
I'll do it if you like.
okay, is there a second?
Well,
You gotta say it.
Give a motion.
Let's hear it stated.
What's the motion?
The motion is to
Endorse
endorse all of the projects that she listed. Okay,
I would say it could be simply endorse the proposed renovations of Marion Square Park.
okay, that's what he said. All right, is there a second to that?
Second.
Okay. We just do all at once vote? Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I would
Okay.
like to add one comment before we final vote, which we may have just had, and if it's okay, that's fine too. I would just like to see some reference to an awareness of safety for both the people using the park as well as the neighborhoods. Be included as a top priority in any renovations made.
Very good, noted.
Okay, and also the homeless, it's their safety.
Well, I said anybody using the park, regardless of the what we're calling them.
Okay, I think we're done then. All right, thank you, Gretchen.
Thank you, I'm so grateful, and I'm gonna stay and listen if you don't mind. Thank you so much.
Okay,
Very good.
all right. Next we have the Minto Island Conservation Area Land Management Plan update. Whoa. Jeffrey Johnson.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jeff Johnson, planner in Public Works, and it's a pleasure to be here to discuss the Minto Island Conservation Area Land Management Plan. Some of you may remember we were here in December to discuss the draft plan. Since then, things haven't really changed, but I wanted to just go over a few of the things that have happened. Next slide, please. Okay, so just a brief overview of that area. It used to be a pulp mill. It was purchased in 2013 with funds from the Willamette Wildlife Mitigation Program, which is a program that helps mitigate the effect of the dams on the Willamette River system. It is covered under a conservation easement. And the existing land management plan was completed in 2015. In 2022, we wanted to get authorization to do a second large event in the park, which was the Ironman event. And so we did a land use agreement with Bonneville Power, who holds the conservation easement, to allow that event. And as part of that, they required us to update our management plan. So we have started to do that. Yes, next change, please, or next slide, please. So the primary changes were mostly due to the fact they have a whole new template and they have kind of new definitions of what they want us to call the different kinds of habitat. So that was a lot of new headings, new maps, but we did add some new sections of management, public access and use, monitoring, adaptive management, and climate change that weren't included in the original. We also had we adopted a change to the event restrictions. The only change is that it used to be a large event was defined as an event over 400 people. Now it's defined as an event over 500 people. We also updated some of the restoration actions, the things that are planned that we're hoping to do in the park, and some of the desired future conditions. Next. So some of the main changes that I wanted to point out. We did some changes to the trails that were planned. The initial plan had some trails that went all the way around. And in discussions with the technical advisory committee, we felt that in some cases that was going to be deleterious to the wildlife, which is the purpose of the conservation area. And so we ended up deciding on a few smaller trails, including a spur trail here that would be seasonally open, a spur trail here that would be open year round, and then another trail here that would go all the way along this Douglas fir plantation, all the way out to the field that is by the Minto Brown Drive entrance. These would all be soft trails. We currently don't have any funding for these, but they are a change to the plan from what we had before. Let's see. Next slide. The other thing we did is kind of phased out how we wanted to do restoration on the site. Phases 1, 2, and 3. Phases 1 and 2 have already been completed. Phase 3 here is the West Forest restoration, and we currently have a grant to do work in that area, and it's the second grant to work in that area. So we're working on that. The future phases would be phase 4, which is primarily a blackberry infested area, and then which would be converted to forest. And then phase 5, which would be, it's kind of all these old ponds that were used to settle out the pulp and different things that have been tapped. Those areas would be, we were trying to get them to be wetlands and native plant dominated wetlands. So those are a couple of the main things that changed. Next slide, please. So the timeline, we're all the way down here now, but we did a land use agreement earlier in the year so that we could have the Ironman this year. Then we have updated the plan, including we had 5 meetings with the technical advisory committee that consisted of state and federal agencies, tribes, environmental groups, and staff from the city and local departments, as well as Bonneville Power, ODF&W, Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife, and Oregon Department of Environmental Quality, which they all had to review this and approve it. So we finished that, and I'm here today to ask for your recommendation to take to council to approve this. At which point it would be signed, and then we will send it to Bonneville Power for their signature, and it will govern how we manage the area for the next 10 years. Our hope is to take this to council in early November, and then work on the admin rule in December. So before I move on to sort of a side subject, are there any questions about the plan or what I've discussed here?
Am I correct that state DFW and DEQ both have already approved this?
Correct.
All right, thank you. That's good.
Fantastic. Okay, so next slide, please. So one of the things that we hear a lot is we don't do a great job of touting some of the things that we do and some of the money that we get from other people. And so I wanted to talk about these 3 grants that we have going on currently in Minto Brown Island Park. This phase 3 restoration grant in the middle, probably should have put it at the top. It's the one that's in the Minto Island Conservation Area. We're in the first year. It's funded $423,000 plus for grant funding. We are in the second year of the Oxbow Slough Restoration Grant, which Oxbow Slough is near parking lot 3 in Minto Brown Island Park. If you're not aware of that, we've been treating the invasive weed Ludwigia that's basically taken over the slough there. And so we're in 2 years of the second year of 5 years of funding for that. And it'll include some invasive removal as well as planting of native species. And then we got an opportunity to partnership with the Pudding River Watershed Council. They reached out to us and said they wanted to do a pilot project to help understand how to treat areas that are going to become infested with emerald ash borer in the future. And they didn't have a place to do it. So they offered, or in discussions, we felt that Minto Brown would be a great place for them to do that. So they are going to begin their work. They'll start removing weeds and things in. So there's 3 of the projects that we have going on. I just wanted to take a second and just get the good word out about those as well. Just says questions, so are there any questions? Yes,
I
please.
just have a comment that did you guys purposely put wildflowers along the pathway that leads up to the top of the bridge? That
Yes,
is beautiful.
Thank you.
Every season, it seems like, you know, as I ride my bike through there, there's different beautiful flowers. I see people commenting on them. It's just a great job.
so the 2022 land use agreement that allowed the Ironman also required us to plant a buffer along the trail. And so that's part of what you're seeing there is the efforts that were part of this program here.
The elderberries were part of that too, right?
Oh, yeah. All the plants that are right there are
Okay.
planted.
I didn't
Once
think
you start to get down into where the reed canary grass in the lower areas off the trail, that's different stuff. But yes.
I have a question of Rob. We do have public comment on this. Is this the time to do it?
Yes,
Before we
absolutely.
make any
For
recommendation?
discussion, yeah.
Okay. All right, Mr. Easterly.
Don't run away, I might need you.
I'm just gonna go right.
Gracefully and appreciated the fact that staff puts out all these reports ahead of time is extremely helpful to the citizen who's curious. One of the things that I need to say about the report is, unlike most of us, I have been in more areas than the path between the park, across the Micah area, and around. And one of the questions I asked that I didn't see in the report is, what is the conversation between the Audubon Society property and this particular area? I don't need an answer, I'm just asking the question. Because one of the things that I have done is I've walked the river from the park, Middle Brown Park, all the way along the river in low water seasons, and then got myself caught up in the Audubon property. And that was an interesting experience in the lease there. So when I saw or remembered the old idea of using the first big berm after the Tahoe Bridge to get to the river, that would be very helpful. Because as Jeff, I'm sure knows, it's pretty hard to walk through some of that area where there's the drainage into the river from the old pond area. So that's one question that I'm asking ahead of time. The other one was, oh yes, I like where all those paths are going. I've walked most of it. Again, nothing official there. But as someone who's interested and been involved with this park, I laud the report, and I commented earlier to Mr. Johnson, that I did really appreciate the report. So my message to SPRAB is, please be supportive. Please encourage that this is something, a jewel in our community, much like the ones that one of the commissioners offered in terms of the little area beside those. Oh, by the way, for those who don't know, I'm from West Salem, so I make that commute very often across the bridge. But that little park there that I've watched for over 50 years has gone through a lot of changes. But your notion, I think, is important in terms of this. Mr. Chairman, that's all I have to say.
All right, thank you. Thank you. And I think we have a late entry for this guy.
Here he
So-
comes.
So John,
He's perfectly dressed.
you're up.
There's a story behind this.
Oh, I remember that walking stick.
Yes, he does. The chair, acting chair, vice chair made this for me.
I didn't give him a golf club though.
I should get my band in hand. Thank you. For the record, my name is John Christensen. I live in Ward 2. And I'm delighted to see this presentation as a circumstance to come to. I'd like to make, let's see, I have to get the folks, Mr. Johnson and Rob. I can never pronounce your name right, the last name.
Romanak.
Romanak. In 1987, I wrote the Oregon Wetlands Mitigation Banking Law. And in that law is a specific provision for funds on wetlands to go to the State Department of, Division of State Lands, now the Department of State Lands. So there's a funding possibility there. That is what's called, I think it's SCORP. Does that ring a bell? You know what I'm talking about? The state conservation. You know what I'm talking about. And
It's CREP, I think you're referring to.
pardon me?
CREP, C-R-E-P, the conservation something,
See,
environmental plan restoration.
it may be different.
C-R-E-P.
The SCORP is the statewide comprehensive outdoor recreation plan. So yeah, so we're just trying to think, I think it's a slightly different
Yeah.
plan you're
Yes.
referring to.
Yes. I bring it forward to you because I'm always looking for a dollar. Those dollars help us in our parks. But the other thing is the division, or I call it division, it's now the department. DSL administers submersible and submerged lands. And I think you're dealing, at least it appears to me, that you're addressing restoration of submersible and submerged lands, which are really entitled to the state. The state owns them. So I'd like to make the recommendation that you consider talking to DSL, consider actually accessing to these funds if they're available, because they could help in a way that you may not have known about. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, John.
Thank you for this.
I have better looking ones than I've given.
It's a great walking stick. Thank you, Ray.
Okay, we are to, endorse and forward the proposed land management plan update, to city council. So before we do that, any discussion on that by board members?
You got it. I've got great respect for the Department of Fish and Wildlife. And I think that with that review and the discussion we've had, I'm pleased to see this report. I would encourage to go ahead with it.
Okay,
I'm not ready, if we're ready for a motion, fine, but others speak.
right. Any other comments from any other board members? So it sounds like Al is made a motion.
Well, I will move to approve and endorse this sent to the city council.
Okay, is there a second? Okay. Do we need to do this individually or group?
You could just do it.
It's a group. All in favor of endorsing and forwarding the plan to city council, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Any nays? All right, it's done. Thank you very much. Okay, now the wonderful seasonal no-pole restoration program that we've been discussing for a while. When should the people,
If I may, I actually have a couple items, new information I want to share.
okay,
And then after that, I would encourage the public comment at that point before the discussion.
all right,
So there's a few things again, this is Rob Romanak, the Parks Planning Manager. There's just a few things that have occurred since the last meeting that I want to highlight. Let's see here. Oh, I want to make sure the board members are aware that as we talk about the upper LaFell Oak area, that as part of the 2022 safety and livability bond, that the restroom that's located there at the top of the Derby track is going to be replaced. That project would move forward as it's currently programmed no sooner than the summer of 2028. So I just want to make sure you are aware there's a capital project planned already in that area. I also want to let you know that SCAN passed a motion recently, and I think it's relevant to this discussion, so I just want to share that with you. SCAN has asked the city to review the adequacy of parking access for placard holders with disabilities and the adequacy of stall markings on the upper LaFell street adjacent to Bush's Pasture Park to ensure access for park users with mobility limitations. And as I read that motion, I believe they actually are talking about the park's parking. It's immediately adjacent to the public street, but it is part of the park.
Yeah.
And so in responding to that motion, I think that Parks is going to handle that in two ways. There's going to be a maintenance things that we can do more immediately, but there's some alterations that are going to be needed to the paths around the parking stalls that are kind of beyond the scope of what I would consider an operational project. And so we will likely have no opportunity to address that sooner than when we do the restrooms. The restrooms are a building. And so under the Americans with Disability Act, there are design guidelines that require us to have accessible parking to the building. So we will have to make those upgrades as part of that project. Unless a capital project comes along sooner, that's what I would envision happening.
Great.
I think those are the only items I wanted to, I also want to, after public comment, if it was helpful to have some information on how I believe staff would approach the action items that are at the end of the letter of, actually doing things beyond the three specific broader recommendations, I'd be happy to share my thoughts about how I think that would advance.
All right. So, public comment, Julia Battle.
I'm Julia Battle, Ward 3. Finally looked it up. I think I learned it. I'm the chairman of the board of the Mission Street Park Conservancy, and we partner with the city on take care of Bush Park. And so we're very, aware and concerned and keeping up. We are very much supportive of the letter that was written and put out and read. We think the parks are doing an excellent job of maintaining the parks and trying to keep the balance between use and safety. Also, I'm not sure the letter really brought out the safety aspect of one of the reasons to limit where the picnic tables are the safety. So with the oak tree limb drop in the summer, if you let people put tables wherever, then a lot of them are unsafe places. So the park is limiting where the tables go. And that's part of the reason to let the grass grow was make people not go in the areas that weren't safe. So it was not to keep them from using the park, it was to try to keep them out of the unsafe areas. So it's kind of a easy, gentle way to keep people safer. But I think the picnic tables being nailed down are what's gonna do that more. But anyway, we're just very supportive. We think that we can help with our with what we do regularly to help add wildflowers and make that a beautiful Oak Savannah area, and we look forward to helping being part of making that something special for us in a new way, maybe a little bit different from what it's been. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia. I'm not timing the 3 minute stuff. Is that important?
I can if you want.
Okay.
Try to keep it short.
We're kind of late with that. Ellen Stevens.
So we can say that.
Not signed up to talk, just being here.
Okay.
Sorry.
Michael Weber.
Good afternoon. My name is Mike Weber. I don't know which ward I live in, very close to Minto and close to Bush. First of all, I want to thank Chair Norris and Board Member Miller for this draft letter that you spent a great deal of time working on. It is very well crafted and it covers a lot of salient points. I think the phrase, the Upper Oak Grove is a treasure to Salem and the entire Willamette Valley, sums up how we feel about Bush's Pasture Park and the Oak Grove in particular. It takes a long time to grow a 300-year-old oak tree. The trees need your help. And I think that this letter supports what the city wants to do. I feel I'm in the park 40 weeks a year leading the volunteers for Mission Street Parks Conservancy. We've just completed the Woodland Garden, and we hope to do another project with the city's blessing for a nature play park area that would not cost the city anything, basically, and we would develop it as we did the Woodland Garden. So we are committed to the people of Salem using the park, enjoying the park, and at the same time protecting the park for the future. So I would, you had a motion on previously about Minto Brown, endorse and recommend the proposed land management. The recommendation is a little more wishy-washy for Bush's Pasture. It says continue reviewing. I would advocate that you endorse and forward the letter to the city council. I think you're on the right track, and I think the park needs all the help it can get from this. Thank you very much.
Hey, all right.
Would it be appropriate to move to endorse that letter and forward it to city council?
I think we have, if John can testify again on another subject,
Yes.
we still have one more public comment. that we can- That's right.
Hey, Gretchen.
This is what I walk like without that stick.
I've given you 3 of them already.
Yeah, I know. My dog chewed one.
That's good oak. White oak.
For the record, my name is John Christensen. I live in Ward 2. My address is on file. I'm here, if I can, I'd like to speak on behalf of Gretchen, Christine Chu, who is the chair of the SCAN Historic Preservation Parks and Gardens Committee. Christine is on travel and asked me to come to relay to you very positive response to the draft letter that has been by individuals on our committee. I think it was almost in the area of excellence. It's quite good. It's informative. It's analytical. It's based on the cultural landscape management plan. It's also science-based, which is most important. And I know that some of you, I know Joan, I worked with her a number of years on the trees in the city. And if you follow that progression, we've really come a long ways, a long, long ways. And I give credit to Mrs. Keller. I think that I went to a meeting, this is not a speech, but I went to a meeting when the report from the Mission Street Parks Conservancy came out from the arborist. And it was myself, I was chair of the Parks Committee at the time, the president of SCAN, Jeff Schumacher, and staff and the director. And I'll never forget it, the staff, they're kind of like, wonder where we're going. And Jennifer said, we're going towards excellence and we're going to do what needs to be done. And that's really the path that's taken place in 5 years. So I take my hat off to you, Jennifer. I know your staff was kind of wondering, what do we do? And you said, we're going to move forward in the right way. And so I just want to compliment you on that. That's it for right now. I have some other thoughts myself, but I'm going to reserve those for later and private conversation.
Talk to me at the dog park.
Thank you. But I want you to know Christine said, as- she didn't tell me to say this, but she looked at the letter and sent the letter to the full committee. It's a 10-person committee, I think, maybe 8 or 10. And she said, I love it. So, and she's solid as a rock. She's a retired senior attorney for the Department of Justice.
Okay.
So, thank you.
Thank you, John.
Good to see you.
Yes, that's.
Kind of off the subject, but Christine, to my amazement, is a graduate of the same high school that I graduated from in Havre, Montana. She's a year younger than me, although I think I look younger, but she sent me pictures, she's on a trip.
Sir, that's on record that you look.
Can you edit that? She sent me pictures from our hometown, because that's where she is or was, and our favorite pizza place especially. But, okay, all right. Debbie and or Rob, do you have anything more to say before we proceed here?
If it would be helpful, I could maybe talk about if this was, letter was authorized, maybe what the next steps would be.
Okay.
We would finalize it with Keith's signature. There's a couple scribbler errors we clean up, and then we would send that back to City Council to a upcoming public meeting as a staff report. A staff report. It's actually come to Sprad, but it'd go back to them as an action item. They would have the opportunity to move forward with the 3 broader recommendations that are outlined in the plan, which are very kind of similar to the initial councilor motion. And then in that staff report, we would discuss a little bit about what it would look like if City Council directed staff to move ahead with those specific implementation actions that are at the very end of the letter. I thought I'd give you a preview of what that would look like as well. So I'm going to pull up the CLMP briefly, just one page. So as this is the management section that's specifically about the Upper Oak Grove, and it concludes with the identification of 2 potential future capital projects. One of them is to assess the feasibility and conceptual design of the playground project that has been mentioned here. And the other one is to upgrade pave paths kind of throughout the Upper Oak Grove area, and that has to do with accessibility. Thinking about the complaint we had about, or the motion we've had about parking and the accessible stalls there, and then our discussion that has been going on with picnic shelters, staff would propose kind of the initial step would be a capital project that's a planning conceptual design process. We would engage the community. I think there's some specific questions that are unanswered about barriers to use of the area. We've talked a little about physical barriers, being able to navigate to a picnic area. But as I've heard all the public comment come in, both on this issue, and then a few months ago, we had the Willamette University's baseball project and the Salem Baseball Club proposal. I think we would want to look at how there might be existing barriers to use of the park as it relates to cognitive disabilities, socioeconomic considerations, especially if we're talking about reservable picnic shelters that you'd have to pay money to have the reservation for. And if it was not a reserve, you could drop in use, but if you wanted to have reserve use, you would have to pay. And then additionally, let's say cognitive and physical, cultural. I think there's some exploration to do about how there may be some existing cultural barriers to the use of the picnic area in the Oak Grove. And so I think we would do some outreach focused on that, and then engaging those communities also in the design of what the project could look like, because I simply have no idea what kind of playground we're talking about and what kind of picnic facilities we're talking about. In parallel with that, we would do a lot of technical assessment. We would do a topographic survey. We would do an archaeological survey. We would look at the tree health more specifically. We may collect some more formal data about soil compaction. And so this would be like a planning study leading up to capital improvements. And I think that there's an opportunity to do that not necessarily like tomorrow, but sooner than later. Because as I mentioned earlier, in 2028, we could possibly be constructing a restroom, and we have money for that in the bond. There does seem to be an opportunity to take that money that we have and then go out for a grant from the state, for example. And we use that money that we have as the match money, the required match money for the grant we would get from the state. So basically, we're leveraging our local money to do more. And so we would outline that to city council as kind of an opportunity, suggesting, you know, that the first step would be to look at that planning study. And you know, if you look at the letter, number 5 is to evaluate the budget proposal. Once we have a rough idea of the concept and what we're actually talking about doing, we could do a more informed statement about the cost both to operate and to construct those improvements.
Can you show them the recommendations though? Do you have those?
Is that the letter? Yes.
Yeah.
So the specific recommendations here are these 3.
Yeah.
Which again, we would advance these to city council as recommendations for them to act upon. And then we would discuss what it would look like to move forward with these items. And then any city councilor could then pull this staff report from the consent calendar, and then there could be more discussion and potentially other action, other action taken by council specifically related to those 5 items. Hopefully I'm kind of making a clear distinction between the 2.
Okay.
So as this letter would go to city council, 1, 2, and 3 would just simply go to city council and as the action there and before them. And then a city councilor could theoretically pull that from our consent calendar at the city council meeting and then open a broader discussion about some of these other items that were beyond the scope of the initial motion from Councilor Nishioka.
All right. Debbie, do you have something?
I was just gonna ask the question. So you would add in the things about the conceptual design barriers and all that into?
Yeah, into the staff report that we prepared, that this letter would then be attached to that staff report.
Makes sense, because it is a lot. I worried about the letter because it was so detailed. We want detail, but we don't want to bore people either at the same time. So I think that will bring it, if you want to know more, look here.
I will tell you, Councilor Fernie can contest to that their packets for their meeting are quite big.
Yeah.
They
I've
are seeing
seen
quite a lot
that.
of information, yeah.
All right, yeah, Debbie, you were one of the people that crafted the letter. Is there anything else that you need to say?
No, I like the way it came out, but I do agree that it's lengthy, and I worried when I sent it to him and then he added more that it was getting worse. I mean, not worse, but not to lose people.
Yeah, yeah, I was shocked to see 3 pages of letter. But it's all really, really good information and good stuff. I went right to the recommendations. I don't know if I read every single word of the rest of it, but I went right to the recommendations and then the implementation. But it's all done very, very well. So where do we go here? Do we, let's see, our recommendation is to, for the letter to go to city council. Okay.
One of the things that was suggested by one of the people who signed up to talk was to change the wording from continue to study, continue reviewing to endorse. Endorse, and I don't know where that wording is at.
It's the agenda, it was about following the discussion about Minto Brown.
Okay.
There's a recommendation, and then following section C, the recommendation was worded differently. So I just would ask for the stronger endorsement.
Said once, instead continue. That's the word endorse, right?
There's no, oh, it's page 2 on the agenda. I
Yeah,
apologize.
page 2.
Yeah.
At the bottom, you
Yeah,
want it to
better.
say endorse?
Yeah, I just want to take this recommendation, and put it down there, that you're going to endorse it. It was just a stronger language, rather than continue to review, it was that you're going to endorse.
The intent there for staff, just when we prepared this recommendation, is that right now, what you're doing right
Would be the
now
continue
is your
review.
continuation of
Okay.
the review you
I
began.
thought it was
with.
something in the letter that I didn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
Okay.
With you, but there's a question.
Oh, Mr. Easterly.
When I read the letter, and I read it absolutely cold in the packet, I had a hard time configuring which part of the park are we talking about? Is it A or B? And I don't need to know right now, but I think when it goes to council, that it should be a graphic representation. And I remember the conversation about the Willamette and the property, and there was a whole need for the graphics that were there. This doesn't have to be that extensive, but I urge that to the board to consider putting graphics in. It's time to say, this is what we're talking about. Mentally, I was thinking, oh, over where we have the camas amongst the oaks. And so I was bouncing around in my head trying to put the graphics together. I just offer that as a suggestion.
Yeah, that would be helpful, because it's hard to imagine A, B, and C and where it relates to the.
There you
parking lot.
go.
Okay.
Let me share my screen here. Just if I can, just in response to that. So this is our map of the park, dividing it up into our management zones. And of course, we are talking about two sub areas of the Upper Oak Grove. And the Upper Oak Grove is this dark green color. And the two sub management areas we're discussing is 13C, which is referred to as the playground and picnic area. And then 13A, which is the Upper Oak Grove Oak Refocus and Stabilization Zone. So we can certainly, we would provide a graphic figure with this council staff report. We certainly would do that.
Where's the restroom at in that?
It is this white object here. That's the structure.
Okay. I remember it being larger than that. All right, where do we go from here? I think should we endorse, or should we just recommend just send a letter to them as it is?
The suggestion from staff would be to authorize the chair to transmit the letters to the council.
Okay, so we need to, unless there is any further discussion, Alan, is your hand still up, or?
Yes, it's a different hand. And thank you for the opportunity. I want to thank the and Dr. Miller for putting it. It's an extremely concise letter. It's informative and it's persuasive. I finished it and read it another time and another time, and I'm more on protecting these trees than I ever was before. How soon, if we implement this plan, how soon would we know if it's being successful?
I do not have an answer to that question, but I do want to, a moment ago, I said that one of the things we could do when we got into this planning process is we could collect data that could help maybe create metrics that we could track over time. So like soil compaction being one of them, actually measuring the soil compaction. So that maybe that's part of the answer there.
Okay. All right. Is everybody okay with everything?
And playing the devil's advocate and all that. And as I said, playing someone of advocate, is it more if as important it is to foster the protection of these trees, would as wild as it sounds, would it make sense to perhaps go slow on redeveloping a picnic area with shelters, playground, until we find out if we're making any progress? And it could be necessary for us to close that period for a few years if we think that would help make us more successful. Because if we don't get it right the first time, we would have a playground and some picnic areas, but we're still not too sure how well we're protecting our trees.
Yeah, I think everything is, should be, as it says, reviewable as we go on, and therefore make necessary changes as are needed. Okay.
Well,
So,
that,
Ellen,
well,
you're finishing up.
I'm just, you know, if, I'm sorry, what?
You're freezing
I'm sorry, I
up.
couldn't hear you.
You're freezing up a lot, so.
Oh, I,
It's the connection.
okay, I apologize. Please just go ahead. I'm supportive of the plan, but I just, you know, I want to make sure we're doing most appropriate things right. And if this is going to work, I've got some real concern about trying to isolate picnic areas and expect people to go other places where we don't want them to go. And I don't know how to protect them.
Okay. Yeah, that's why I think, you know, the review process is very important. Okay, unless there is any other discussion, I think we can vote to send this letter to council.
The move.
Second,
Second.
second by Debbie,
I'll second.
okay, or third. Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Right.
Aye.
Any nays? All righty. Well, thank you very much. It's a lot of work is going to put in, but it's for a very worthy cause. And want to thank everybody for all their input and their energy. And I am just good things are happening. Okay. Park tour. It's hard to have a quorum if you don't have a quorum. You know? So, Rob?
Yes,
Go
I
ahead.
I had the opportunity to have a phone conversation with Chair Norris last week. And we had one idea that I just want to put out there. At our next meeting in November, which is November 13th, we could make that a special meeting and potentially start an hour earlier, have an actual like brief 1 hour-ish meeting, and then go get in a van and conduct the park tour immediately as part of that meeting. I understand that that's likely not to work for everyone, but Keith and I thought that that may be a convenient way to ensure we had a quorum.
I'll be in Tucson.
That would be on November 13th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So,
We may not have a quorum for that if we don't do a hybrid format. That's what I'm hearing. So we might want to explore other dates. And at that level, there's kind of two options. Everyone could pull up their schedules right now. We could look for dates, or we could attempt another doodle poll. What happened since the last meeting is that we sent out the doodle poll and we had some pretty good response from members, but unfortunately there was not a single option where there was a quorum of members available at any of the many options we provided.
now we have 8 members.
Yes.
When I first came on, we had 9 members. We lost our liaison to the school district. Is that ever going to come back?
Not in that capacity. We're not anticipating it would come back.
Okay, that's unfortunate. Okay. All right, well, where do we go? Do you want to do another doodle or?
If that's what the board would prefer, but that's the general feeling we have, or if we want to get our calendars out now and just try to pick a date today, we're fine with either option, whichever would be kind of preferred to the members.
Okay. Well,
What about the following Thursday, the 20th?
To me.
Okay. We could possibly do that thing you were talking about on that day instead of, we meet here and
Yes.
then.
It's absolutely possible, because if we're gonna have a special meeting, then we can move the meeting to any time in the month.
So you were looking at what date?
20th?
20th of
The week after.
November?
Yeah, 1 to, 4:35-ish,
We can do that.
If it goes too late, we can drive through a restaurant, we go through drive-throughs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, do we want to see if that will float with, you'll be back from, okay,
She said she could take the afternoon off.
I'll bring it, so.
okay. Alan, are you okay with that date? November 20th?
Yeah.
Okay. Alan? Are you okay with November 20th? Could you make it, for our tour?
At this point, I can't say one way or the other. I gotta check doctor's appointments and some treatment, things taking place, and at this point, I just can't commit.
So.
I'll just add a silver lining. If by that date, I'm fairly confident the skate park will have opened. And so that would kind of be a good thing, because then we could tour that without having to put hard hats and vests on all of you, and logistically it would be much simpler.
Okay. All right, so we just need to check with Zachary and Mauricio.
Yeah, I can do that offline.
Okay. So let's tentatively plan on the 20th. And
Would this be in addition to the November 15th meeting, or in that place?
I think it's gonna be in place of, isn't it? Yeah, in place there.
From 1 to 4:30.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
how will that work? What's the logistics, or will you guys send that out?
I can briefly summarize that. We would meet here normal, have a approximately an hour-long meeting, perhaps less, to cover business. And then the meeting would then continue as like a traveling show, so the public could visit us at each location. But the members and staff would drive together in a passenger van. Parks and Rec has a big passenger van. We could all ride together. We just ask that the members refrain from discussing business in the van. We keep that for the public when everyone's together. And of course, Councilor Bunny could join us as well. And then we would all drive together, kind of move it. It'd be a moving public meeting
Okay.
from location to location.
We did it last year. It
Yes,
worked.
yes, yes. I don't, yeah.
We actually.
I know I want your.
No, you guys applies to you too.
Okay, all right, so we have a plan. Next, we have council liaison update.
Was thinking, I usually sit and nobody can see me. I'm just gonna run around to the front for a change. Okay, hello everyone, I'm Counselor Mickey Varney. I wanted to say, first of all, I was at Bush Pasture Park on Saturday and had a chance to see the Woodland Garden Project. And it is absolutely lovely. It's serene, inviting, it has this meandering gravel path, it's by the Conservancy. And what I love is the seating, the huge basalt, I don't know, like boulders that are cut in half. And then, I mean, it is just a really nice place. It's a really nice job. I just wanted to say how lovely that is. Let's see, what else is going on with parks? Last night, we had a good turnout at the Peace Plaza renovation design presentation, the open house. We were presented with a plan that incorporates a really, I feel, a good blend of both historical and practical uses, and it makes Peace Plaza look more inviting. So I'm looking forward to you getting a chance to spend more time learning about it and providing input, so that was great. Let's see, anything else? Oh, this morning, National Walk to a Park Day. It's actually celebrated on October 10th, that a number of us met at was it Washington?
Mhm.
Yes, I lose track some of our schools. And the importance of National Walk to a Park Day is to have, everybody should have a park within 10 minutes walking distance. And so we get together with one or more classes. We've done this the last few years, and we walked to a park, and we went to Livingston Park to see, oh my goodness, all the new equipment that's there. It's fantastic, absolutely fantastic, and the kids had a blast. So that is really, really fun. I wanted to provide an update, basically council-wise, in case there were any questions on the drawdown of the Detroit Reservoir. I think I may have mentioned this briefly, but we had some updates at our September 22nd council meeting. And for those of you that may not be aware of it, the US Army Corps is planning these deep drawdowns of the reservoir to benefit downstream passage of the juvenile salmon. And this is supposed to happen in fall of 2026. And so Salem, we have had a lot of concerns because of the turbidity it would cause. The city hired a consultant to look at and estimate what that would do and the impacts of it. And the impacts are even worse than what we predicted, the potential impacts. So the city had a meeting with the Corps on August 26th. And some of the key takeaways from that meeting are the Corps is proposing to employ protocols during the drawdown intended to reduce the risk to the city's system. And this includes stepped drawdowns. So drawdowns would be in stages over multiple years. And then also implement turbidity triggers to halt a drawdown. In terms of if it hits a certain level of turbidity, they would halt the drawdown. And another thing is reducing the actual length of time the drawdown occurs to, I believe, 10 days. So we're having conversations to lessen the impacts in addition to the other things the city has already begun working on to help mitigate the impacts on our water system. So our water comes from the North Santiam. It comes out, there's an intake at Guerin Island. And some of the things that we are implementing to deal with this, because Salem, I mean, like, we use about 25 million gallons of water a day. And if we can't run water through our sand filters up there, what are we gonna do? No, that's a lot of water to provide for all the residents. So we're doing upgrades to sand filters. I don't know if we're adding another one, but that's the part that the water trickles through. And if it's turbid, it clogs up those filters, and that's the big problem. Another thing is we're constructing some more shallow wells up on Guerin Island. We have one right now that we constructed, a couple of years ago. And we're constructing, I think, 3 or 4 more. Another thing, we're investing in developing an intertie to the Kaiser water system so that will supplement it. So those are things the city's doing to help offset the impacts of this, which is likely coming, as I said, in fall of 2026. Any questions on the drawdown? Anything? Okay. And lastly, I wanted to mention there are a number of parks related things coming up at the council meeting Monday night. And yes, you're right, our packet, our agenda is 17 pages. So anyway, under the consent calendar, I'm excited about this. There's a recommendation to authorize the city manager to apply for, and if successful, accept a land and water conservation fund grant from Oregon Parks and Recreation Department to provide funding for improvements to Fisher Road Park. So that's pretty, that's fantastic. Then there is an action item to do a mid-year park improvement project at the Crooked House Playground resurfacing, basically using funds from the 2022 Safety and Livability Bond. So there's are a couple of park-related things. And then at the, toward the latter part of the meeting, when we have the information reports, is when the Salem Parks and Recreation Advisory Board Climate Action recommendations that you all put all the time into, those are coming forward to council as an information report. And I intend to ask Member Miller to come up and provide a little more information at the meeting. So thank you for all the work you've done on that. That has been absolutely just fantastic. Couple other things that might be of interest. There will be a report on the 2025 Community Satisfaction Survey results. Every year we do that, most every year, a community survey. And the results basically addressing safety and homelessness is still at the top of the list, but overall, I mean, the majority of Salem is happy with what the city is doing. Anyway, you might want to look at that report. And another thing, we will be looking at a budget, a supplemental budget to increase the expenditure appropriation authority, addressing the safety and livability strategic action plan for downtown and Northeast. And so that will be increasing general fund for police, parks, and fire, adding to career police officer positions for the homeless services team. Anyway, that's kind of a rundown of what's going on. Any questions on council or anything I can take back for all of you? Oh, hi, Alan.
Go ahead, Alan.
I'm not sure if his hand is still up or.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll say that if he has a question, I can follow up.
Oh, he
Yeah.
took it down. He took it down.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and thank you for all your work, and it's good that we have a liaison.
Yes.
To us, and makes us feel like we're actually part of city government.
Well, it is. And then the next meeting, just I wanted to say, since we were just talking about the Bush Pasture Park, about the no mow thing, pulling items from the consent calendar to discuss. I mean, that's another advantage is that I know to do that, right? Thank you.
Any board member updates? Yep.
I finished my 3 neighborhood associations yesterday. I really enjoyed it, actually. I made a little slideshow and took pictures of the parks, and Rob gave me information, so I didn't sound so stupid about what's going on in the park. And the last time I went to Grant, there's actually somebody there from Cigna, from South Gateway, and he asked for a copy of it. He's trying to get his neighborhood to be more interested in the grants and things like that. And it was really fun listening at Grant to their ideas, because I stayed for that, and they just, brainstormed ideas while I was there. They asked for my input, but I didn't really know. I didn't know it was I knew some things probably weren't good, like they wanted to put in a butterfly garden. And I thought that was probably too much maintenance, so I felt pretty confident about that.
Yeah, our neighborhood association engagements, I hope everybody is pursuing those. I am doing that. Of course, I got scanned, which took up a lot of my time. But yeah, please, those need to be done right away, and Rob can help you with any materials. Okay, any other board member updates? Okay, the information reports.
Yes, no, there were no written reports this month because we're quite busy, and I do apologize for that, but I do have a couple verbal reports if that's okay.
Okay.
Real quick, I want to highlight, we have with the bond funds, Livingston was mentioned earlier, but with the bond project delivery, we have 3 sport court projects and 2 playground replacements this summer, and those have all soft opened, so they're all open to the public. Those projects are not complete, but they're at least further enough along, they're back open to the public. And so that would include at Morningside Park, a sports court and a playground. And that playground has already seen an extensive amount of use already. We've seen a huge increase in use. And then Livingston Park, then we have Hoover Park, where we had a court project, and Highland Park. And then did I cover them all? Yeah, I got them all. And so those have all open now, and we're gonna be finalizing them, the scope of those projects in the next month or so. So there's lots of cool new stuff open in the community and the neighborhood parks across the city. And then briefly at Gear Park, just a quick construction update there. The skate park is looking really great. It's getting close to being done. As I mentioned before, mid-November, we're expecting an opening. The artificial turf has been installed on the baseball field infields. And the contractor who's working on the other improvements there is working quickly. Where the focus currently is on completing the soccer fields. The irrigation has been installed. Now we have to get the drainage systems installed, and then they'll be seeding the soccer fields. That's a stressful item in my world, because when I get grass needs some time to grow. And then the dog park will become the next focus on their construction work. So still lots of happening at Gear. Gear is a very active construction site still.
Good. Yeah, I was just looking at the work plan for October, and I have not seen a graffiti and damage report for a long time.
We're revamping that, so that staff are kind of providing that information in a consistent way. There was some inconsistency with kind of staff as they're out in the field doing stuff, so we're trying to streamline that so that the information you get is accurate reflection.
Hey,
Real quick, just two more things. I recently gave a presentation to the infrastructure oversight committee about restrooms and various options for public restrooms. And I'm gonna bring that presentation to you hopefully at your next meeting. So you can see what I've learned on comparing various options, just to build more awareness on that topic. And then just highlighting what parks planning, what we're focusing on. It was mentioned the grant for Fisher Road Park, so that's a huge focus of us this month, where we are applying for this grant. It's quite an extensive application, so we're working on that. We are ordering play equipment for the Riverfront Park Playground project, which is a little bit extra work than normal, because we are actually ordering equipment from 5 different vendors. So typically we have one vendor that gives all the equipment, but because Riverfront's special, right? So we're having pieces come from 5 different vendors. Lots of paperwork is happening. That's what, just to tell you the background, we're ordering all the equipment. And we're preparing to go out to public bid on our projects for next year. So that is the Riverfront Park project, which also includes electrical improvements throughout the park and the playground. McKay Park, where we're doing the soccer fields and some restrooms and related improvements there. And then Bailey Ridge Park, which I know Member Miller knows fairly well. We're getting ready to go out to bid on that creek restoration path improvement as well.
Right.
That's all I have.
okay. All right, any new business? All right, in that case, I see no reason why we should not adjourn. If there's somebody who has a reason, let me know right away. Otherwise, we are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody. And